Pride services bear witness to an alternative reality that we experience here at Church of the Young Prophets every week, that there is a way to be a Christian in an LGBTQIA plus affirming community. And actually, it produces a very different, very liberative kind of Christianity. Pride services are both a positive demonstration of the unconditional love of God. That's what we demonstrate here when we have Pride services. But also, they are a demonstration of prophetic critique. It is a critique that says that our affirmation of LGBTQIA plus persons is essential to living the greatest commandments of the faith we claim to be so important. So pride is a protest. Pride is a demonstration. No more. Our way of saying we, the religious rejects, we, the Christians thrown out of the temple, we will enact the healing which Christ came to offer. We will proclaim release to the captives in the cages of abusive doctrine. Can I get an amen? We will release folks from religiously excused discrimination. We will proclaim release from the intentionally inflammatory politics of the far right in all of our countries. We gather here today to aid in the recovery of Christianity's ability to see God in all persons. And we share our stories as queer Christians and allies with our religious kin who have misinterpreted the faith we hold dear. To those who do not see God in their LGBTQ plus neighbors, their neighbors of color, their female neighbors, their refugee neighbors, and the folks living at the intersections of these identity, these services call us to aid Christianity and its ability to see God in all of us. We've heard that little-known American preacher known as Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., when he wrote his letter from a Birmingham jail, when he said an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Injustices committed against Black and brown folks threaten the rights of queer and trans folks. Injustices committed against queer and trans folks threaten the rights of refugees and immigrants. Injustices against women threaten queer, trans, Black, brown, and refugee rights, not only because there are people in our community who live at the intersections of all of these identities, but because we are choosing to knot our fates together. We are recognizing, as we talked about in Lent, our deep interdependence and interconnectedness with one another, the relationship between one marginalized community and the larger threat of injustice to all is founded not only on the intersecting identities of those in our communities, but on something that I like to call radical solidarity. The point is that our empathy should be so deep that we could not help but weep when we see our neighbor harmed. The point of radical solidarity as we come to a close is that by experiencing the pain of other communities, we link our survival with one another. No one thrives unless everyone thrives. So we gather as people of faith in this Pride service to commit ourselves to radical solidarity with the fullness of the LGBTQIA plus community, with all in the community, with refugees and immigrants, with the children of the world. We knot our fates together, as Ruth did with Naomi all those centuries ago. This reminds me, as we come to a close, of that woman 2,000 years ago, a woman of color in our story, a woman named Ruth. Ruth's husband had died, and all she had left was her mother-in-law. Ruth was a Moabite. Well, in Exodus, the Moabites are explicitly excluded by law from the people of God, of Yahweh. In Exodus, the Bible itself says that Moabites are not allowed in the community. And so perhaps Naomi knew about the laws that kept Ruth from their community after her husband died. And so she told Naomi, go off, find another husband, find someone who will take care of you so that you are okay. Because maybe no one else in the Hebrew community would break the law. But Ruth refused. And rather than leaving or fearing the laws, she professed her deep love and devotion to Naomi, a Hebrew woman. And Ruth begged her, as we heard, don't ask me to leave you or turn away. Where you go, I will go. Your people will be my people. Your God will be my God. Where you die, I will die. And there I will be buried. Ruth was willing to sacrifice everything and express a love for Naomi that broke the laws of their time that were supposed to keep them apart. And in this act of breaking the laws, Ruth found God. It was in the act of breaking the law that Ruth experienced God. Can we get an amen? You see, in her act of disobedience to the religious law, Ruth experienced God. And many times, maybe you felt this way, that you felt perhaps alone in the church or in your community, that the laws of our denominations that have been set to keep us out and apart. But there are times, young prophets, where we are called to break the laws and rules that are unjust in order to experience and to prophetically proclaim the deep liberating love of God. May it be so in this Pride season and beyond, because after all, that's what Jesus came to proclaim in Luke chapter 4, right? I came to proclaim release to the captives. And today, in your hearing, in your perceiving, it is so. May it be so for you and for many.